I did my project on Native American death rituals. Let me start over. Okay, so we all know there are over 500 American tribes recognized within the United States, and they're probably less recognized worldwide. They all have thousands of different beliefs. I mean, I think that's a given, and everyone has similarities and contrasts within those tribes, and I'm going to kind of list out a few within different ones. However, the common aspect of death rituals within the indigenous culture is basically that the spirit carries on afterlife after the body physically passes away. There's no heaven, there's no hell, there's just spirits. Indigenous burials typically take a lot more time for prepping than it does with American burials, and we'll kind of go into why. Autopsies are not encouraged by indigenous people, specifically because the spirits is needed to remain in the body and be preserved for the rituals. As mentioned before, the whole idea is that the spirit has a safe travels to its new afterlife. So cutting open the body is not something that's ideal, since it would disrupt the journey of the spirits. So within death rituals, as we said, that the whole purpose is so that the spirits have a safe travel. Within different rituals, different things are performed. We have powwows. We have people leaving all kinds of gifts, tools, fruits, livestock, jewelry, all that stuff. And we have different ways of how the body is treated. So most tribes let their body naturally decompose within a tree or some type of tree stump, or others engage in actual sacred burials. And it just goes to show how indigenous people are really connected with the nature and the circle of life. So I have a few here that I did want to go into depth about, a few practices or a few rituals, and we'll start with the Chippewa ritual. This is the only tribe that buries the body literally immediately. They do that because the spirit takes 4 days to reach its happiness. Families typically move quickly and make it their duty to assist the spirit. They have these powwows that's held at the dead's residence the night after the burial, with fires lit every night so that they can guide the spirits to its safe travels. On day 4 of the ritual, someone holds someone holds a gathering to give away all the dead's belongings, and in return, that person must give away one piece of clothing. We have our Sioux practices. So the Sioux prefer their body naturally decompose above ground specifically, and they let the body decompose for a year, and it's held. They have a ritual that's held for 4 days as well. Interesting thing about this ritual, the dead is dressed in their best clothing and sewed onto an animal skin so that it stays on. Um, like Christians, the Sioux practice having a wake for the dead within the first 2 days so that the families can view the bodies, say their goodbye, and wish their safe travels to the spirits. Kiowa practices, this one is pretty interesting. This tribe believes in ground burials only, so that's different with the other two that we've seen. They believe that is the only way that the spirit can be released after death. So since they don't believe in God or the devil or one central being, they believe that because that this person was created from the earth, they should put the body back into the earth. Another kind of crazy thing is they fear the dead. I shouldn't say crazy, but interesting. They fear the dead. They are scared of the dead because they feel like that they can come back if they don't properly handle the dead or the dead's positions. They feel like the spirit can come back between the dead's belongings. So they try to make sure they burn all of that stuff. Another thing that was pretty interesting was anyone that lived in the house with the dead, now they must move out. Like everyone must leave and relocate. So that's pretty interesting. Navajo Indian rituals. So, unlike the Kiowa practices that we just talked about, they weren't fearful of the dead. They kind of just believed that um, they kind of just didn't want these spirits to come back. So they did everything correctly that they felt like, or they try to do everything correctly so that the spirits don't come back to haunt them. It's not so much that they're scared, they just want the spirits to pass. Another cool thing that they do during their rituals, they cleanse the body. They had the body covered up and carried away furthest north to bury the body. And the horse that was carrying the body is also killed and buried too. And it helps with the spirit passing on. So just imagine, not doing one part of the ritual, how fearful you would be of what is to come to you or to your family or whatever. This was kind of like a dark practice of a specific Indian tribe, the Iroquois, and I think I'm saying that right. And this has something to do with if the family member, tribe member, was killed by someone. So the murderers tribe has to basically forfeit a life of their tribe to the grieving tribe. And what they do is they're either kidnapped or they're killed or they're replaced as a family member to the dead. And I mean, they accept money, they accept a life, they literally accept anything. It's just kind of a vengeful way of getting back at what was done to your tribe. Why did I do my project on this? I know it seemed kind of weird and to propose to do this, but I felt like we already don't know too much about the indigenous culture. Um, it's not really talked about, it's not really shared, it's not something that is known. Also, it's not documented much of the time. So I felt like it would be, useful to improve cultural awareness within our Native American cultures, just to kind of give them the limelight a little bit and enlighten each other about their culture. That's it. Thank you.